With this year's gaming showcases, it can be easy to get so excited about an upcoming release, you may find yourself slapping some hard-earned dollars down in anticipation. Pre-orders, early accesses, subscriptions. Whether or not players should spend money on a game before its release has been a subject of debate for a long time. What will it be like at launch? What will I get if I pre-order? To help fight the rapidly spreading disease that is the release now, fix later philosophy, let's look back in history to 5 different reminders of why you should.
Hold on a second longer.
And wait until after a game's release to spend your money. Starting off our timeline, Sega started a 7-year hype train when it acquired the license to develop games based on the Alien franchise in 2006. Their game, Alien Colonial Marines, was officially announced in Game Informer magazine in 2008. Gearbox promised tense encounters, just like the movies, where the aliens would stalk you and your Marine buddies. It was gonna put clever girls everywhere to shame. I still remember being so excited by the pictures I could not wait to blast bugs with my pulse rifle. Gearbox also shared a gameplay demo for the game that again promised sophisticated artificial intelligence.
Aliens can climb on the ceilings and the walls. It's all driven by sophisticated artificial intelligence.
Environmental detail and lighting effects that all contributed to the feeling of isolation while fighting off hordes of xenomorphs. Prior to its 2013 release, players could pre-order the game, purchase a season pass that would unlock future DLC automatically, or pay $99 for a collector's edition that included a figurine and some extra content in the game. Because of a review embargo, video game journalists were not allowed to publish reviews of the game prior to the day of release. One day before Aliens Colonial Marines was released, cryptic tweets began to arise from various game reviewers that would say things like, "A day before release isn't too late to cancel a pre-order," without directly naming the game itself. But approximately 5 seconds of modest Google research would give any curious George the hint that they were talking about the Aliens game. This is the earliest memory I have before a game's release where I was thinking,
"There's a storm coming, Ari. We'd all best be ready when she does."
Well, we wanted bugs, and by God, Gearbox made sure we got bugs. On the day of release, Aliens Colonial Marines was met with universal criticism pointed at the game's glitches, terrible AI that just rushed at the player instead of acting like the xenomorphs from the films, and visuals nowhere nearly as polished as the E3 demo. The game was so broken, and unlike what was presented, a class action lawsuit was filed against Sega and Gearbox that alleged false advertisement. Years later, when Gearbox CEO Randy Pitchford was asked about the state of Aliens Colonial Marines, he denied there being an issue with the graphics, said he did not regret the experience, and compared people who didn't like the game to sadists with less sophisticated thinking. It's too bad the $99 version of the game didn't come with a free pass from getting called a sadist. If you want to sink more time into the rabbit hole that is No Man's Sky's release, go check out Internet Historian's video on it. I'll put a link in the description. No Man's Sky, developed by Hello Games and published by Sony, was revealed in 2013 as a game which promised interstellar travel, spaceship battles, and exploration of a procedurally created galaxy. Interviews with Hello Games co-founder Sean Murray only amped up the anticipation as several features were stated to be in the game, such as multiplayer, well, sort of, or at least the possibility of running into other players.
Can you run into other people, other players on the game?
Yes, but the chances of that are incredibly rare, just because of the size of what we're building.
And a variety of immersion mechanics, including landing on asteroids or being able to play the game as a space pirate. It was a big deal for a game with an indie developer to get this much attention before release, and boy did the suits milk every drop they could from that hype peak. Before release, No Man's Sky could be pre-ordered in its standard edition at $59.99, limited edition for $79.99, or an exclusive edition at $149.99. No Man's Sky released to a collective sigh of disappointment. This wasn't so much a case of a broken launch, although there were plenty of bugs, but more so an astounding leap between player expectations and what the game actually was at release. The procedurally generated galaxy was considered to feel repetitive, as each planet appeared to recycle similar assets and biomes, and a metric boatload of features stated to be in the game prior to its release were nowhere to be found, including being able to find other players within the galaxy. Hello Games and Sony's response to the backlash started out as bouts of silence, until Hello Games posted some blog posts saying they were listening and focusing on fan feedback. Sony's president of Worldwide Studios threw Hello Games under the bus by saying they did not have a good PR strategy, and then in 2018, 2 whole years after the game came out, Hello Games posted an open letter finally acknowledging that some mistakes had been made during the game's development and right after release, especially dealing with responses to fan feedback. No Man's Sky has gone down in the history books as a game that has taken a complete 180 and is actually quite good now, considering all of the free DLC and patches. No Man's Sky is a perfect example of the marshmallow test.
A test of your reflexes!
This is a test where a kid is given 1 marshmallow and told, if you wait, I will come back with a second marshmallow and you can have 2. Some kids just go ahead and eat the first marshmallow, some of them actually wait and get 2. In this case, No Man's Sky at launch is that first marshmallow. And by gosh did some players pay to eat that 1 marshmallow. No matter when you bought No Man's Sky, I think we can all agree that the guy who spent $1,300 on an early leaked copy of the game,
That makes
Damien,
tonight's big loser.
After the lukewarm reception to EA's 2015 Star Wars Battlefront game, with its lack of a campaign and original trilogy-only content, Star Wars fans, including yours truly, were hyped to see the trailer for its sequel, Battlefront 2, announce it would have a single-player campaign along with characters and locations from all 3 eras of Star Wars films in its multiplayer. It seemed to be a dream come true for people like me who weren't exactly into the more recent releases of Star Wars games. If you wanted to play the beta before launch, you had to pre-order the game. Let me repeat that. If you wanted to play a trial version of the game to see if it was something you like, you would have had to have already purchased the game. I know it isn't completely uncommon to offer this as a pre-order incentive nowadays. After all, developers use betas for the purpose of testing game mechanics to make sure the game is ready at launch, but I think most players would agree that we use betas to get a taste of an upcoming game that we may or may not want to buy. It's like a trial or a demo. Buying a game to access the beta, to me, is like having to pay full price for an ice cream cone up front if you want to use the little taste test spoon at your local ice cream shop.
You didn't say please.
It just feels off to me, I don't know. Before release, players could pre-order the game in its standard edition for $60, the Elite Trooper Deluxe Edition that included some cosmetics and early upgrades to characters for $80, and we're not even going to get into how many different retailer-specific versions there were.
Oh my God!
During both the beta and pre-release, Star Wars Battlefront 2 caused an uproar in both the video game community and the legal world.
Holy Jesus! What is that?
Character abilities could only be unlocked through loot boxes based on random outcomes. Hero characters took an egregious amount of in-game credits to individually unlock, and players could buy credits with real money in return for random in-game advantages or hero characters. Through this system, EA committed 2 cardinal sins. 1, they put game-altering advantages in a random reward system, and 2, they allowed players to pay real money to win these advantages. But surely the loot boxes didn't get in the way of players' enjoyment of the game, right?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
For Battlefront 2, developer response to negative feedback actually had both legal implications and set a world record. Backlash to this both random and pay-to-win progression system was so bad that DICE and EA temporarily disabled microtransactions at the game's release entirely. In response to a Reddit post that voiced frustration over Darth Vader's hero character requiring an estimated 40 hours of playing to unlock, EA gave the now infamous remark that hero characters are difficult to unlock because they wanted players to feel a sense of pride and accomplishment when they got one. That Reddit response set a Guinness World Record for most Reddit downvotes on a single post ever in 2019. Because of Battlefront 2, lawmakers in different countries, including Belgium and the United States, started to crack down on loot boxes in video games, comparing them to online casinos and accusing them of both allowing and teaching children to gamble.
This game is a Star Wars themed online casino designed to lure kids into spending money. It's a trap.
The whole fiasco and its bad press cost EA about $3 billion in stock value in 1 month.
Say what?
Similar to the story of No Man's Sky, Battlefront 2 has made a huge comeback over the years, with heaps of free content, scaling back of monetization, and cementing itself as the modern multiplayer Star Wars game. If you like Star Wars, it really is worth a play. Now. Some people paid over $100 for the game that dang near started a worldwide revolution against loot boxes. Although a good chunk of the Fallout fanbase was disappointed by Bethesda's announcement that Fallout 76 would be an online multiplayer live service game, there were still plenty of people excited to get to experience the world of Fallout with friends. Wait a second. What is... Oh, yeah, I guess we could go ahead and mention...
In a minute!
Okay, alright, Fallout 76. Despite the news that the game would not feature any NPCs, a prominent feature in previous Fallout games, people still had faith. This is Bethesda we're talking about here, right? Skyrim, anyone? Before release, players could pre-order the base game at $59.99, the Tricentennial Edition for $80, or the monster of a purchase called the Power Edition for a whopping $200, which included a map of the game world, figurines based on some in-game models, a wearable power armor helmet, and what was marketed as a Canvas West Tech duffel bag. Very quickly, customers of the Power Edition began to voice complaints that the bag they received looked nothing like what was advertised. Instead of a durable canvas bag, it was a flimsy bag made of nylon. When questioned about this, Bethesda customer support rather bluntly stated that the bag was changed to nylon because they were cheaper to produce. In the spirit of pumping out products that were expensive and nothing like what was advertised, Fallout 76 was released to near universal criticism, plagued with bugs, glitches, and hackers that could flat out steal another player's stash of items. The poor functionality of the game was a consistent gripe among players and reviewers. The icing on the cake, however, is that while the game was in such a broken state, Bethesda had the audacity to keep its in-game store up and running with cosmetic items that were so expensive the price of a couple of outfits was comparable to the entire season pass of the previous game in the series Fallout 4. Twisting that monetization knife into the kneecaps of Fallout players everywhere, Bethesda announced they would finally add a slew of player-requested features. Oh boy, fast travel, more storage space for crafting items, private servers, and more affordable cosmetic items. And all you had to do was subscribe to something? Oh, I'm sure they just want your email or something like that. I doubt it costs money.
Oh my goodness!
Bethesda, quick! Your game is broken and players are demanding more content. What is your response? Tell them to give us more money? As is the trend for this list, the game was improved over the following years. Bugs got patched, NPCs and storylines were added to the game, and hey, even the pre-orders got their canvas bags. Bethesda even gave us a developer apology we can add to our wall of shame. But one can't help but wonder, how long after a game's release should someone who spent $200, or heck, even in this case, the base $60, have to wait until they feel like they got a finished product? If all the criticism and backlash makes you feel bad for Bethesda, don't worry. They're still in the video game business. They've got some game with very little hype, and not a lot of people have heard about it coming out this year. I think it's, what's it called? Oh, who am I kidding? Starfield looks awesome. It's Bethesda. They make great games. What would be the harm in getting this one early? I'm sure Fallout 76 was just a, pre-order bonus. I could just pay a little bit extra and... BioWare made a splash at the 2017 E3 conference with gameplay footage from their upcoming RPG, Anthem. It had all of us saying,
"I'd get to fly around like Iron Man."
With the developer behind the critically acclaimed Mass Effect and Dragon Age series,
Yes, that's me. I'm over here.
boasting stunning visuals and cooperative play, players had a lot to be excited about. It was clear the game was targeted at the looter-shooter crowd that were playing the likes of Destiny, but at the time, players, especially BioWare fans, were eager to see how the developer with a track record of making immersive, narrative-driven games—
You've overstepped. No Christmas.
we don't talk about those two— were going to perform when diving into the online cooperative multiplayer scene. Surely a game with this good of a presentation will be a smash hit, right? Side note, a personal red flag of mine is when a game presentation includes scripted player dialogue.
Bam, looking good. Nice, you've got a mortar equipped.
Yeah, I got it on the weekend. That is one big pile of shit.
Players could pre-order Anthem at the base price of $60 or the Legion of Dawn edition at $80, both of which included VIP access to the pre-launch demo and some in-game cosmetics. Gotta pay for that demo playtime, guys. What do you think this is, a charity? In case anyone forgot that BioWare's parent company is EA, we were all reminded of that at Anthem's launch. EA launched a broken game.
Oh, yes, of course.
How very, very awful. Wait. Let me do that one more time. Give me the line again. Quickly, while it's fresh in my mind.
EA launched a broken game? A disorganized development process gifted players with a game drowning in game-breaking bugs. But even worse, it became apparent that no one, not even the developers, had a complete vision for what Anthem was supposed to be. While the basic concept of flying around in suits with your friends was still a unique one, the game felt like an Oreo without the stuffing. If you're one of those people out there that eats Oreos like that,
Stop it. Get some help.
sure, we could fly around together, but what were we supposed to do after beating the narratively unimpressive campaign? The first few minutes of flying was neat, but the missions were outright boring. The power scaling was broken enough to where lower-leveled weapons could be more powerful than higher-leveled ones. The loot in this looter-shooter wasn't significant enough to bother grinding for, and significant pieces of endgame content were delayed. When both the top of the mountain is boring, and the climb to get there is boring, why take the journey at all?
The journey is usually the part that you remember anyways. The journey is usually the part that you remember. Journey is usually the part that you remember anyway.
Oddly enough, a common criticism of Anthem's in-game store wasn't just focused on prices of items, it was that there wasn't enough stuff on sale at any given time. It felt like BioWare was trying to artificially increase player retention by minimizing what was in its store too much. If people are complaining there's not enough microtransactions at any given time in your live service game, something's wrong. Updates and communication from BioWare slowed to near silence, but eventually the developer announced they were working on an overhaul to the game that would be dubbed Anthem Next or Anthem 2.0, then later announced those plans were cancelled. The Anthem reboot cancellation serves as an apology letter for us to add to our wall. I bought this game for $10 on sale a couple of years after release, and honestly I got bored after a couple hours. Too bad I didn't buy it for $80 so I could have a couple extra skins to go with my boredom. If you glance at the title of this video, what you won't see is, "Never be excited about a game ever again." There's nothing wrong with being excited about an upcoming release. It feels good to have hype around an upcoming game. Throwing money at video game developers based on nothing but trust or just seeing a good presentation or a good pre-order bonus is exactly what put modern gaming in the state that it's in right now. If a game's functionality at launch were never in question, I don't think pre-ordering would be an issue at all, but here we are. Why pay for that extra pre-order bonus cosmetic if the game ends up being so bad you don't even end up playing it for more than 5 minutes? We all need to stop buying into the idea that we'll just wait it out and the developers will make the game better. You deserve better the day that you give them your money. And that includes even just for microtransactions. I'm looking at you, free-to-play games.
Fletcher McGee, Rainchild, Zeke Jr.
I get it!
You wouldn't pay a plumber after they tell you how good of a job they're going to do fixing your sink. You pay them after they've fixed your sink. Let's stop rewarding developers for giving a good presentation or having good marketing. Instead, let's reward them when they release a good product. If this video does well and you guys let me know in the comments that you'd like to see a part 2, I can continue the timeline of pre-ordered games gone wrong. If you'd like to stay in the loop, hit that subscribe button to be notified of my next videos. What games would you add on this list? Is there a game this year or a developer that you would trust with a pre-order no matter what? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.